Lead the charge.
All right, welcome to another episode of Lead the Charge, the Zena Renewables podcast. Today we have a special guest and one that was hard to select. And the reason being is there is an insane amount of talent on the Surge. As you can tell, I'm obviously ready to go. And Steph here is obviously, swagged out. Kai's swagged out as well. So we have to have some Zeno representation here. Kai was giving me a hard time for not wearing the one that says Zeno on it. But whoever's seen that one, you got to cop it. It's sweet. But ideally, we're excited to have you here. So Stef Smith, number 3. I'm sure you've seen him all over our socials and all over social media as well, just dunking and then carrying that crazy Mamba mentality after you finish what you need to do. So excited to have you here. How you doing?
Great, man. Really, really happy, really excited to be on this podcast. You guys have done, a great job of just, connecting with us and, lots of fun.
Yeah. And I think to be fair and leaning into what you're saying there, it hasn't been hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys were all super humble, hardworking. And I mean, obviously, your teammates better than we do, but that's the perception that we get. Right?
Yeah.
There's, I don't know, are you sitting around, eating potato chips all day, or are you grinding?
I'm grinding. I mean, I do enjoy my food though. Don't get it twisted. I'll eat some junk food every now and then, but especially, for a time like this, end of the season, playoffs are coming around. It's gotta lock in on the diet, gotta lock in on the sleep, and just,
Yeah. And you guys have had a crazy season.
Yeah.
And is this your first time playing in the CEBL?
It's actually my second time. So
Okay.
last year I was with Guelph Nighthawks that, eventually moved over here to be Calgary Surge, along with Rugsy. He was my roommate last year as well. So, we just moved over here to the West Coast and, we're excited to get, number 1 in the West, and now we just got to keep it rolling.
Crazy for the first season.
Yeah.
Number 1 in the West?
Yeah.
Maybe do you think that, well, actually, I'll ask your opinion. Why do you think it is that this year you guys were able to get to that point?
I think it was just, honestly, I say this all the time, I think the organization did a great job from top to bottom. Coaching staff did a great job. Players were really talented. Obviously, we don't have the same roster as we did when we started, but we still have those same core group of guys. We had a really hot start. We were like 5-1, I think it was. So honestly, we probably thought we were going to even do better. But, that's just how this season goes, and that's how this league is. It's a competitive league, you know what I mean? So it's definitely just a testament of our hard work and, sticking with the season. Like, we had one stretch where we had like 13 games in the month of June, I think it was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it was brutal, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, it was, well, I suppose this is us being selfish here, but it was brutal. It was pretty brutal on her schedule. Like I was definitely. I feel like a chunk of my summer was gone because it was first time of us, being in this having this opportunity and having this relationship, as a company that's choosing to sponsor or I guess support a professional team, right?
For sure.
And let's backtrack here a little bit though. So obviously last year you played for Guelph, but you are from Ontario, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And I believe, was it Ajax?
Ajax.
Yep. So tell us about Ajax. What was it like growing up?
Growing up in Ajax, it's a nice little town. Not really too much to do. Obviously, you're about 30, 40 minutes from downtown Toronto, 10, 15 minutes from Scarborough. So when it was basketball, hoops, a lot of people were going out there just to play. And, I was blessed to have, two, very supportive parents that kind of just guided me with my basketball and my education. But yeah, there really wasn't much to do. And I think that's one of the reasons why, I was always on the court. I was always on the basketball court, always in the gym. And that kind of, that just kind of propelled me to where I'm at today.
Yeah, that makes sense. And like Ajax, you mentioned it's a smaller
it's a
city,
smaller,
right?
Yeah, it's definitely a smaller town.
How many people are there roughly?
I want to say about 150.
That's not bad.
I could be wrong, but
yeah. So probably like a very family forward, like safe community kind of vibe. That makes sense. And do you feel that? Is that where the majority of your time in your life has been spent?
Yeah. So I was actually born in Winnipeg,
Crazy.
Manitoba. Yep. And then I moved when I was about 2 years old.
Okay.
And then so I basically grew up in Ajax, and then went to college in the States, University of Vermont, Northeast America, for 4 years, and then I went to St. John's University in New York City for a year. So
nice. I've heard St. John's is fun.
Yeah.
Good party town, right? For
I mean, a little bit. Honestly,
Yeah.
I was surprised, honestly, because the
Yeah.
campus it's in Queens. It's in like Queens, New York City. So
Yeah.
like, honestly, Vermont was more of a party
oh, interesting.
school and
Huh.
frat life.
One is huge
and all
too.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you play college ball down there then?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I played college. 4 years at Vermont. Then I graduated with got my degree, bachelor's degree, in exercise science, and then went to St. John's, got my sports management master's degree over there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're just killing it in every angle of life.
Trying, man. Trying to.
I have to ask, do you have siblings?
I have a half brother, older half brother.
Is he doing quite well too?
Yeah, he's doing well. He's really in the videography, photography industry. He's out in Vancouver right now.
Oh, nice.
Managing a store out there. So
That's the place to be as well
Yeah.
too, especially with the film school and everything
Yeah.
that's out there. So that makes sense.
mhm.
So I know I don't know why this story's coming to mind. So when I landed in Canada, so where I was born was England, then I landed in Canada. I landed in Toronto,
Okay.
and that's where I had relatives as well too. But then immediately we ended up going to Edmonton, and now I live in Calgary. Kai, you lived on a boat, didn't you?
No.
yeah.
Oh, no, man. No, so
Do I get the story wrong?
I
every
lived.
time?
It's funny because Toronto seems to be like just the hub. Everywhere when you come from anywhere around the world, it's like you live in Toronto or Vancouver, right? So, no, I lived in a like an RV, like a trailer,
Why did I say
for like half a year because my dad worked in Toronto as well.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of thing when we immigrated here. But I came to Calgary and then we kind of moved to Toronto then back. But
Okay.
yeah, so I've experienced that. Not a boat.
Not a
Definitely
boat.
not.
Every
We
time.
could say that. We could say it's a boat. Yeah. That'd be a little bit cooler, but yeah.
This is just how the relationship works. My mind is so visual too. I literally picture Kai as a kid on a boat while his dad is working, and his family became like super successful here as well too. They did well, but
Yeah.
I think that's the story of like Canada as a whole. And why I wanted to bring this up is, you've obviously traveled all over the place, right?
Mhm.
And I've landed in Calgary, Kai's landed in Calgary, and you've had a taste of Calgary now. Tell us about that. How do you feel Calgary has treated you, and what do you think of the city itself now that you spent the summer here?
It's an amazing city, honestly. The people are super friendly. That was the first thing that I kind of caught me off guard because, I mean, Toronto's nice and it's busy, but for being realistic here, not the nicest people over there.
We got pushed off the sidewalk a couple of times.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
like
just-
people, like there was nowhere to go, and people pushed us off the
Just
sidewalk.
nudge you off. Yeah.
Yeah, like multiple times. We're like, what's going on?
Same thing in New York City too.
Yeah.
Honestly, that
Really?
is even worse over there. New York
Yeah.
City, but yeah, Calgary's nice. Like I said, the people were friendly. It's not super busy, like too busy to a point where there's too many distractions and stuff like that. So I feel like this is like a perfect spot for us to take care of business as professional basketball players, but also obviously explore a little bit. Was able to go out to Banff and Lake Louise and then kind of just see all that. And
Did you guys make it to the chateau?
no,
Oh, I told Rugsy, I was like, if you guys are out there, go to the castle place.
yeah, we
Yes.
didn't get a chance to.
I heard it's a pain though now. They changed all the parking and stuff. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, probably too many tourists. I don't know. COVID did a lot of interesting things out there. So how did you find that? Like, tell us about your experiences. Was it your first time in Banff?
Yeah. So it was nice. So, like I said, I went to university in Vermont, which is they call it the Green Mountain State in the States, and I didn't really do too much exploring. A lot of people went hiking and stuff like that, but just seeing Banff and kind of the sights, even just like driving in, it was amazing. It's nothing like it, especially when you used to being a city kid and seeing skyscrapers all the time. It's just a nice little change up.
Yeah, Banff for me was pretty special. Like, I think the first time I went out there, I was 8, I think 7 or 8. And, like typical Canadian story, immigrant parents don't have too much money. And Banff was like the place that we went every single year for our summer vacation.
Yeah.
But the first time I went out there, and this is a summer or two after I had watched Jurassic Park, as we were driving in, I'm like, this is where the dinosaurs are. I was convinced.
Yeah.
So the whole time I was like glued to the side of the window trying to see if there was dinosaurs. I saw
funny.
I saw like moose and obviously bears and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, close enough, whatever.
Right.
Get a little bit of a reality check for me as a kid, but I mean, it's a magical place, right? The energy of Calgary is really interesting, and obviously the mountains have a different energy as well too. It's just an overall vibe. But where does you're obviously in an interesting position in the Surge as well too, because you become the clutch guy. I think that's fair to say, right?
100%, yeah.
How do you like that? How do you like that position, or being known for the guy that always comes in clutch?
Yeah, I think it's just honestly, I always just fall back on my hard work. At the end of the day, I feel like that's kind of my saving grace. And at the same time, my teammates and my coaches are really confident in me. So, I know. I think it was the second game we had when it was we played Edmonton on the road and we were down 16 in Elam. And I think I only had 2 points like going into that, and then I think I ended up with like 14 or 16 or whatever it was. But I don't know. I just live for those moments. As a competitor, you have to. So it's just honestly, it's just kind of what I do. I guess not trying to be, arrogant, but that's just that's how I'm wired. That's how I think.
Yeah, when the pressure comes on is when you perform the best. Right?
Yeah.
So do you find that something that carried over from childhood? Like, where do you feel like that comes from? Because that is special, and there's typically two different kinds of athletes, right? I think there's the Ronaldo type who's absolutely disciplined and very, very, very consistent, and then there's the Messi that when the moment arrives, he shows up. But I think I don't know how Messi is in terms of discipline. I'm sure he's fantastic as well. They both correlate that back to their childhood, right? When you look at their stories and their documentaries. So for you as an individual, do you feel that it was something that put you on that path on an early way? Or when did you first start noticing that you were the kind of individual that liked that pressure?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I just always enjoyed a challenge. That was kind of my thing. And, being overlooked a lot in high school, hoops, and even in college a little bit, I was kind of just like, I accept the challenge and, I want to be the person that, does it. So also just looking up to guys like Kobe, Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, guys like that, they just kind of have that alpha in them. And, so for me, it was kind of just like, I'm watching their highlights over and over and over again. Eventually it was like ingrained in my brain. It's like, all right, this is how I got to be. You know what I mean? I can't shy away from the moment.
No, that's beautiful, man. And that's always what it calls to. And sorry, just because you brought up Vince Carter, I have to share this story as well too. Is that did you game at all when you were younger, like Xbox Live?
Of course,
like
I played PlayStation growing up. A lot of like NBA 2K, NBA Street, NBA Live, all that stuff.
You're basketball all the way through.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I was hoping to hear like Gears of War,
Call of
Duty.
I played Call of Duty too. I'm also a huge soccer fan.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know this, but like I probably watch more soccer than basketball.
Really?
Yeah.
Which league?
Prem, Manchester City.
Oh.
Bad. But hey, you got to hear me out. The only reason why I'm a Manchester City fan is
I don't care.
Don't tell me he's United. Is he a United fan?
Yeah.
You are a United fan?
It's hard to be a United fan right now, but I'm all the way through, man, since I was like day one. Day one.
It's okay. You guys have a way better history than we do.
Well, yeah. Manchester City was like background noise. So I was born in Birmingham, right? And Birmingham wasn't in the Prem League until somewhat recently. So Manchester United was like the default. And I was lucky because I grew up with like Beckham and then Ronaldo. Little did I know Ronaldo and I are the same age. And I was like,
oh, really?
Well, I think he's a year older than I am.
Okay.
Which, if you put that into perspective, is kind of wild.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah,
so, but at the same time, so Manchester City fan, like day one as well too?
So, I think it was either 2012 or 2013. So I was with my soccer team. I think it was 2012. Yeah. My soccer team, my head coach, he actually played professional for about 7 years.
Oh wow.
I think in the Prem for a few years and some other leagues, but he just knew someone in the Manchester City organization, so we went over there, played their academy team. They smacked us, but it's okay. It was a good experience. And
I hate it when that happens. When you have a friendly game and then all of a sudden you just like all my hopes and dreams just got crushed in one game.
It was like 6-1. It was like they probably weren't even really trying, but and then just kind of seeing the atmosphere of just the fans just chanting, singing full 90 minutes I was like, wow, this is the best thing I've ever seen. So I think that team had Balotelli, Young Sterling, Edin Dzeko.
Oh man, so many good players.
It was a good team. Yaya Toure.
Sterling's been having issues with confidence lately, though. Yeah. Big time. Well, the UK stage of sports, if you screw up, they get mean. So
it's like New York City fans, honestly.
Yeah, they turn dark really, really, really quick.
Yeah.
But Kai, you're a Bundesliga, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
So I was
Yeah.
born in Germany, so
Mhm.
Bundesliga. But mine is Stuttgart until they
Mm.
absolutely have not been good at all. So then it's just Bayern, right? Bayern's the go-to in
Bayern,
Germany.
for
But
sure.
Yeah.
it's not even fair to watch, right? Like I think sometimes with these leagues, that's why it's good to see Man City doing better. But like
Mhm.
it's just dominated by a few teams, right? In
Yeah.
all these leagues.
Yeah.
So I'll give it to the Premier League. It's usually a bit more exciting because the other ones are like the
Oh, the
German
Premier
League
League
is
the best.
there's two or three teams that can maybe compete.
Yeah.
And then same with the other leagues, right? There's not really much competition, which is kind of boring to watch after a while.
Right.
But yeah, so Stuttgart's my original team, but
Okay.
Bayern's the one if like comes Champions League stuff.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Stuttgart's not making that anytime soon. So yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
But no, the German
Well,
league is
yeah.
it's a little bit different. The sponsorship structure is different, right?
That's
But
a
I
good
think
point.
I think that's why the Prem became more open, is because a lot of the policies ended up changing about 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
So it's changed multiple times. There's always different things that change over time. But what translated? Like obviously you said you're a soccer player, and was soccer first and then it was basketball, or was it at the same time?
It was at the same time. It was at the same time, and I was honestly better at soccer than basketball up until maybe grade 9.
Yeah.
Like once I got into high school, that's when I kind of turned the
Right.
corner with basketball, and I had to kind of choose. It was getting to the point where it was starting to get a little expensive, and I had to travel hours, to go to these games. So, but it's funny, soccer. I feel like soccer really translates over to basketball too, just with like footwork, and speed. Because I wasn't very very quick or very fast growing up, and then kind of doing that, helped me with my footwork and stuff, and that translates to defense and when you're pivoting on offense and stuff like that. So, but
Posture is everything in soccer. If
exactly.
you have your head down, you're getting run over.
Yeah, and I played center back too, so I was a defender. So yeah. So
that's like my least favorite position.
Yeah,
I never wanted to play center back.
Yeah,
No way.
defense in general.
It's not fun, but
Yeah. I was where I had the highest producing seasons consistently, and where I made it the furthest was left mid, but I'm right-footed. So it was very nobody could see what I was gonna do,
Right.
and I was always able to place the ball like very very well. So it was nice. Yeah, it was, man. Soccer is an interesting thing to be able to compare to basketball, because I played basketball in high school, and I should close the loop on this. The reason why I brought up Did You Game and Vince Carter is because my Xbox Live handle is Vinsanity. Or sorry, Gursanity.
Gursanity.
Sorry,
That's
Gursanity.
tough. That's tough.
So I
That's
took
tough.
my name and then
Put
Vince
Vinsanity.
Carter's. Yeah, because Vinsanity was special, man.
Yeah, it was.
That era was insane. I thought he was gonna live forever. Like that level of performance was never gonna end.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he got old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. It happened like overnight.
I think it was like, I mean, I know he had a few good years when he got traded from Raptors to New Jersey, but
Yeah.
just wasn't the same. Like everything just didn't look right. Him in that jersey, and
Yeah.
it was disappointing.
Yeah, it looked like the alternate TV show that wasn't supposed to air. It was weird.
Yeah.
I didn't like it either, but yeah, it was interesting growing up with that. So you're in this position now, right? And to kind of steer back onto where we were, is that you're a professional basketball player. You obviously very well educated. Yeah, and you have nothing but the future ahead of you. So what is the big dream that you see for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as a kid growing up, everyone wants to play in the NBA. And that's obviously still a goal of mine, but I think at the end of the day, I really just want to, give back to like my community and have an impact on the world. So obviously, being a basketball player, it's great. It's not going to, go on forever. Eventually I'm going to have to retire. I'm going to have to stop playing. And I really want to kind of take advantage of, the things that I learned on my journey and try to help give back to the youth. So as well as the basketball experience, exercise science is what I did in school. So, kind of having like my own facility, like my own business, a multi-purpose facility where I can help basketball players, soccer players, football players, and not just physically, but mentally as well. I think there's also a lot of importance on the mental side of things, mindfulness, kind of understanding that, it's not just about, your sport, you can be a bigger person than that. So I think that's kind of the message that I want to kind of, portray when I'm done playing basketball and, giving back to, like I said, there's not a lot of people in Ajax that are professional basketball players or professional athletes or whatever. So, kind of just inspiring those youth and try to give back, I think is the biggest thing that I can do.
Yeah, and that's huge. And I think one of the things that we appreciated, and I think it was an open invitation, but you ended up making it out to our city cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always nice being able to see you guys at these different community events. Was that something that you like threw your hand up for right away?
Yeah. I love doing stuff like that. You know, it's just, I think we do a lot of, you know, time. We spend a lot of time in the gym.
Yeah.
And we're grinding, and sometimes, you know, we're tired mentally, physically, but, you know, giving back to the community, and kind of showing, you know, Calgary some love, and, you know, doing simple things like that. You know, I've always been, you know, big with those things, even in college. So it was a great opportunity, and I enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kai was in, I think at that moment you were in Germany, or you were in Hungary. Croatia.
Hungary. I didn't go either. I was on a boat in Hungary, man. Yeah.
Hold on. Hungary, a real place.
I'm just kidding. No, I was in Croatia. Those are the beginning.
Bulgaria, and then there's Hungary.
Yeah.
So I combined both together. Hungary, a new country.
Yeah.
We should tell our friends.
So I missed this, but I saw it. It looked epic. It was better than all the rest.
And I have a bone to pick with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw the video afterwards, and I saw that you were doing a foot race up the hill. And my problem is, and Kai knows this as well too, there's been multiple times in our friendship over the years where we come across like a random path and we want to race.
Yeah.
What happens every time?
I win every time.
No, he stands there and I run by myself. He like
Come on, man.
So he
Next cleanup will do a foot race.
He acts like he's ready to go. I'm like, oh, we're finally gonna race, and I just go off the line, and then I look back after like 50 meters.
And he's just not there. Yeah.
He never moved, and I was like, I got played again. But I saw you rip up that hill.
Yeah.
So at some point here, hopefully we can get a dub before
sure.
we have to race and try to convince him to get involved as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll do it end of season. After the championship, we'll do a race.
Are you going to show up, or are you going to just pretend to show up and let you do it?
You guys are long distance runners, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys can do those long runs.
Well, 100 and 200 was my pace in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I did track and field. My go-to was 100, 200, and high jump.
Nice.
And you did, what was
high
your
jump? That's random with that.
I don't know why I was good at it. Yeah.
I did cross country, and then 100. Usually, what's it called? With the
The relay.
Relay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did relay, which was fun.
Relay's fun.
But it depends unless your team's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good time, but
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, no, those... It's weird too, is like I think the whole premise behind all of this that's always gets me so intrigued about professional athletes is what we were talking about in itself is like the inner child, right? Like me wanting to race you up the hill. If I really think about it, it's because inside I still want to be a kid.
Right, for sure.
So do you feel that an element of that exists? Because I know I've seen you guys practices and obviously I see how intense you guys are during the games. And there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And the crowd is wild at the Surge games. And you've been to... But I think when we first met, I think I'd asked you this as well too. You've played on bigger stages as well, right?
Right.
So with those two things in mind, two questions here. Is, do you feel like your inner child still gets to express itself in what you're doing right now? And what's the biggest stage that you've played on?
Yeah, I think definitely that inner child is really important to have. I think, you know, people can look at us as professional athletes and be like, oh, they're just working 24/7. But, you know, behind the scenes, you know, we're just, like you said, we still have that inner child in us. You know, we joke around, we clown around. You know, me and Ruggsy are always, you know, clowning around and just, you know, talking trash to one another and stuff like that. But
very fun to see.
Yeah, but yeah, like you said, like I still love playing video games. You know, even some cartoons. Like I still watch some cartoons and stuff like that. So it's definitely still there, and it's important to have that.
Yeah, are you guys anime guys?
I am.
What's your
Ruggsy
show?
clowns me because I'm an anime guy. That's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay.
He doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand. You
doesn't
either know or you don't know. So
yeah.
Naruto is definitely like the centerpiece for me. Yeah, that was the first one I ever really like watched, like sat down and watched. Yeah, even the filler episodes, like everything, I watched it. But you know, Attack on Titan. Oh yeah. Demon Slayer, Hunter x Hunter. Yeah. There's a bunch though. There's a bunch that.
Man, I'm old school. Yeah. So this is gonna age me, but I was like Full Metal Panic. Some funny ones like Fruit Basket and Love Hina, which were random ones, but there was obviously like manga in there as well too. Growing up as a kid, and then Full Metal Panic was unreal as well too. Cowboy Bebop.
And I watched that.
My favorite of all time though was Trigun. I'm not sure if you ever saw Trigun.
I haven't.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And it's like all of these things end up translating over to like real life as well too. This one specifically, and those who are watching that understand what I'm talking about, then you'll get it. But those who don't, it was an individual having to face his inner demons, for a lack of better words. And he the entire time knew he had the power to be able to overcome any difficulties he had, but he chose to maintain his human side and deal with everything head on. And it is, and I know we call it cartoons, but animes and cartoons are a little bit different. I think in my mind, right?
100%.
Yeah, but like you said, if you know, you know. If you don't, then we're just nerds.
Yeah, because I think anime is like the plot and the stories and the backstories, like all that stuff is like really like it transfers over to like real life. You know what I mean? And I think that's why sometimes I'll get in a stage where I'm like watching like actual TV, and then I'm like, okay, let me just watch some anime, and then like, you know, even like it's weird, but like even like when playoffs come around, like when I was in college, I would watch like my favorite anime fights just to like kind of get me in that mode. You know what I mean? Like
Dragon Ball Z always got me fired up.
Yeah,
I don't know if you watched that. Kai didn't watch any. You know,
I grew up in the back bushes, man. I didn't watch any TV. I don't know anything you're talking about.
So this
sounds cool.
We gotta share this with you, man. This is kind of wild. So I meet Kai years and years ago, and you know, like I grew up in a house where my babysitter was the TV, but not for you.
No. I grew up in a weird manner. I guess it was back roads, which is not country style back road here, like Alberta. But it was pretty much like evenings were either spent going on some random adventure somewhere in the family station and getting lost, or watching my dad play soccer. So I really didn't get to watch a lot of TV, which is, I guess, a good and bad thing. So I have no relation to any of these things that you're talking about when it comes to comics and stuff. But
yeah, that's fair. And I think that's a cool reality as well too, because the uniqueness of doing something that's outside of the norm in itself is something special. And obviously with you being a professional athlete and having all these different experiences must be pretty intense, right? So Calgary Surge, what is it, about 2,500 to 3,000 people that show up to a game?
Yeah, I think 35 is sold out.
It's sold out.
Every seat taken.
Yeah. And what's the biggest stage that you played on?
Yeah, I would say about 25,000 in college. I think it was Kentucky. It was Kentucky. And then I played in Kansas too. And then Madison Square Garden was, I think, around 20,000 for, and we played there a few times.
MSG.
Yeah, MSG, man. There's nothing like it. The world's most famous arena. That's what they call it. It's special. It's really special.
Cool.
Yeah.
MSG, the Mecca, man. It's just like, okay, that's the story. This is interesting. You got to tell us all about that.
Yeah. I mean, so St. John's. I think we had like 4 regular season games there, and I think we played like Villanova, Georgetown, Seton Hall, and UConn. And then every year for that conference, the Big East Conference, they have the conference tournament held there. So all the teams from the conference come in, stay in, nice hotel. We were staying in the Conrad Hotel, which is amazing hotel. And, media coverage is out of the roof. It's just like crazy. You're getting interviews all the time, and they treat you like royalty over there. So just playing there, and the lights were bright, super, super bright. But we did well. Unfortunately, we lost in the second round, but that's one experience that, I'm just blessed to be able to say I even played in MSG, I've done it 6-7 times, so it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, isn't that an odd thing in itself, though, is that MSG itself isn't about the building, it's about the people that were there.
Exactly.
Right? And is it fair to say that you can almost like sense their energy once you walk into that building?
Yeah, for sure. And I remember when you walk through to go to our locker room, they have all the kind of like pictures of famous people that were performed there, artists and stuff like that. And then they also have, some basketball pictures of, all the famous basketball players that played there. And yeah, when you grow up as a kid and you see MSG and you see, Melo scoring 63 or whatever it was, and you see Kobe going crazy, Steph Curry going crazy, and then you actually get to step on that court, it's something special.
Yeah, that's wild. And I think we've talked about this before, and I know it gets commonly talked about, is that bringing it back to, I suppose, our reality is the energy at these different places at MSG and so on and so forth. But you said that the smaller crowd that we have here in Calgary is one of your favorites.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's honestly, it's very similar to the experience I had at the University of Vermont. Being a smaller school, held about 3,000 people, but you know, we were selling out games like game after game, and having that small kind of like number and smaller building, but you have that energy and those passionate fans. It's unreal because you really just feel the energy on the court with you. You know, so when we hit a big shot or someone throws down a big dunk or something like that, you can feel the energy kind of just uplift you. While sometimes in those bigger arenas you can still feel it, but it's not as prominent. You can kind of hear it, and it kind of the noise kind of goes up to the roof. But when you have like 3,000 people and they're all cheering and super passionate, it's a huge energy boost.
Yeah, and I mean we felt it before.
Mm-hmm.
We trip out.
Yeah, it's actually crazy because I think we were talking this before. Like we've been to basketball games. Because I've been to 2, you've been to 1. We were together.
Yeah, we were together. Yeah.
But even like you feel the energy in those big stadiums and definitely can feel it. But yeah, like here you're dialed into it. Like it's just you feel like you're part of the game. Like you're part of every piece of it. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever felt anything like that. Hockey's not even close to that. Like the Flames, you don't even get close. And
No.
I've been to soccer games where it's pretty crazy too. But this is just like
it's different.
Yeah, like it's different. It's personal. It feels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been to NBA games before, right?
Yeah, I've been to a few Raptors games growing up.
We had the opportunity to see Golden State and Steph play at Oakland Raiders Stadium, I think it was called.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was called. It's when they were still playing in Oakland. But
In Oakland, yes. I think it was like 2017. Speaking on the energy, this was the wildest experience I've ever had in any professional game. Not because of the crowd, but because of what ended up happening. This is a story we're sharing, I think.
Yeah.
So when earlier on in the business, it was all about partnerships. We have this internal mantra that's called collaboration over competition.
Okay.
We believe the industry that we're in is a rising tide. Reason being, we need to ensure that the planet is preserved. Climate change is a major problem. We believe the solution that we have is one of the best ones. It's not the be all and end all. But the problem that we're trying to solve is too big. So we can't be in competition with people. We all have to figure out how to work together.
Right.
So one of the companies that we collaborated with was ChargePoint. And ChargePoint is an electric vehicle charging company. They invited us out to San Jose, and we ended up running to this really interesting guy named Teddy at the training for ChargePoint. And it was a mixed bag. It was a lot of corporate people. We came in there with a little bit of higher energy. And Teddy, I think he picked up on that. He was kind of in our same age group. And he's like, yo, we should all hang out tonight. Like we can't just be here and not do something together. And we had no idea where the night was going to take us. All that we knew is that Teddy is from the States. He's a big guy, so he'll probably keep us safe. He's like 6'4" football player, like just a jack guy. And he had really calm energy. I think the reason why his name was Teddy was because he was like a Teddy.
Yeah.
And but anyways, we end up in downtown Oakland. I'm not sure if you've been down to downtown Oakland. It's a cool spot. And for those who have been to downtown Oakland, you'll understand what I'm saying here. But the infrastructure is interesting. Like it was quite dark downtown.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really cool bars. But there was nowhere to really buy liquor. There was like no liquor stores anywhere downtown. So we were struggling finding this. And we were going our first basketball game, want to have a little bit of fun. So we did end up finding alcohol. We ended up tailgating in the parking lot. But that's where things started getting a little bit crazy. So Teddy had bought the tickets, and we get in and we're in the nosebleeds. Like there's no higher that you can go.
Yeah.
But
you can barely see the game. Man.
Yeah.
You need binoculars or something.
But what happened after that point? It got kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah. So Teddy, we obviously showed that he had this football stature, right? That's what he looked like. So he's like, you know what? He gets some drinks in him. He's like, you know what, guys? Like I've done this before. If we just pretend like I'm famous, we can get to the floor. And we're like, dude, like that's no way, man. There's security everywhere. There's not a possibility of this happening. So he's like, no, like we'll get it done. So we go down one section, and he starts talking to this lady. He's giving this whole story. And we're kind of just standing there like we're just like fans. Or he starts. I think he even makes it that people start taking pictures of him, like to really get into this. Like, so he gets all in this, and the lady's like, somehow she believes it, lets us down to the next section. Like, holy crap! Like we're sitting there, like, yeah, this is pretty sweet. We're in like the second bowl, maybe. Like it's a lot better than the top.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, we're losing it because we have amazing seats.
We're already excited enough about this, but he doesn't want to stop there.
No.
So he decides, he's like, yeah, like we'll go all the way to the bottom. We can do this. So he gets the story going. He gets more people involved. Pretty much again, people taking pictures of him and like just making this whole thing like he's this famous football player. I can't even remember what team he said he played for.
Yeah.
Pretty much long story short, by the end of the night, we're sitting. It wasn't courtside, but we were sitting like row 6, 7.
Wow.
And we're sitting there, we've never watched this game.
That's
like,
crazy.
Never been to a basketball game. This guy's like loving this. But yeah, so we made it down to the front. We're watching this game, and it was an exciting game. It was Golden State versus Milwaukee. And I think at the time, Milwaukee was one of the best teams in the league.
Mhm.
Or something. They were really good.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just, like priceless experience.
Yeah. And the game ends, and we get to walk out the tunnel, too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we got to walk
Wow.
with all the other people that paid
Yeah.
thousands of dollars for the ticket. Yeah.
So Kai and I are, and I guess to end off the story, to tie the bow on this, Kai and I are super energized off of this because we're like, how did this happen, Teddy? This is amazing. Teddy doesn't want to stop, though.
Yeah.
So the game ends, it's probably like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Roll forward to 3 a.m. We're somehow in downtown San Francisco eating burritos after we got poured on by some torrential rain, and we had seen some individuals that don't have a permanent home rip apart the entire train in front of us. And so we had seen a bunch of crazy things, and there's a couple other details here that if you want to ask Kai and I more in a separate conversation we'll give you, but that was probably the craziest energy I've experienced in a sporting event. My only NBA game, so it was pretty memorable, and we got some hilarious videos from it. And for my friends that were following the Snapchat, I had Snapchatted the whole thing. It started from us being in the nosebleeds down to getting to the floor, and people were messaging me like, "What? How did this happen?" I have no words. I can't tell you.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
an experience. But yeah.
It was fun, but you have the next leg coming up now.
Mhm.
So you've played all over the place
Mhm.
in North America, but you've also played in Europe, from what I've understood as well too. And you're about to go back there.
Correct.
But where have you played previously around in Europe? Sorry.
Yeah, so I was in Serbia for 4 months. It's funny, I actually went there to start the new year, 2023, and it was like a town about an hour south from Belgrade, which is like the main tourist city over there. And yeah, it was a crazy experience. It took a few months for me to adjust to the language barrier, but I kind of got used to their culture, and they live slow over there. I don't know if it's just like a Europe thing or if it's an Eastern Europe thing, but like I was finding myself like sitting in cafes with my teammates for like 2 hours, just and I didn't even drink coffee before that, and now I'm a coffee drinker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a cool experience to see different parts of the world, and I'm excited to be headed to France after this CBL season, and that's going to be another great experience. High level competition basketball, and I got to brush up on my French now.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting journey, man.
Yeah.
So do you know which city you're playing in France?
Yeah, so it's called Orléans. It's about a hour 20 train ride south of Paris.
Okay, close.
Yeah,
Really
so
close.
I'll definitely I got to go to some PSG games, and
Yeah.
hopefully Mbappe's still there.
Yeah, we'll see.
They offer some pretty crazy deals.
Yeah.
Turn him down though.
What was it? $1 billion?
1 billion
Yeah.
For one season.
for one season,
Good.
and he turned it down.
But that's ruining sport. Like we
It
won't get
is,
into that,
it
but
is.
That's like
It is.
Yeah.
that's not even. That's just whatever.
What do you think the counter contract was to keep him in place, though? If he's getting $1 billion offered publicly, then there's deals that are getting talked behind
Right.
doors for retention, right?
Right.
But Mbappe's he's pretty progressive, like super progressive.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, probably more than any other athlete on the
Mhm.
planet right now. I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah,
Just based on how he's positioning himself as a human being is super cool.
Yeah.
But I think he's also pretty honorable in
Mhm.
the way that he carries himself as well. Too.
I agree.
So do you think it was more of that, or do you think it was? And we're making assumptions here, obviously. Or
Yeah,
do you think
yeah,
it was more the money behind the scene?
I don't know. I think he kind of just enjoys his position, and like you said, like it's tough to turn obviously that amount down. You know what I mean? But even Messi did it too, and he decided he wanted to kind of move his family to Miami, and he got a lot of stuff in his contract as well. Like I think it was like part ownership or something after some Apple stuff. So he I don't know. He definitely had to have like some stuff thrown at him that was like, we're gonna keep you here, and obviously he's a Nike athlete, and
Yeah.
he's kind of the centerpiece of football over there because a lot of those PSG fans are not messing with Neymar, and they kind of booted Messi out of there. So
They're ruthless.
they are.
Like I didn't realize how ruthless they were until I watched the Neymar documentary.
Mhm.
They're ruthless.
Mhm.
Like, they don't. Yeah.
They don't play around.
No. Like they're.
No,
pretty
I
bad.
don't
It's
understand
just-
where it comes from either. Like I don't. Well, being born in England and having like the British roots,
Mhm.
you typically just don't care
Mm.
what's going on in France.
Mhm.
You're like, whatever, they're gonna burn their own country.
Right.
They love to do that stuff, right? So you don't. I never really understood the culture, but I did learn French.
Mhm.
So my parents, being global citizens, made sure that I took French from I think it was like grade 6 all the way through grade 12.
Okay.
I forgot it all.
I was gonna say you gave some lessons here. Or?
I speak French and English, so like Kel Times is it? Or Kiska what? Those are like my don't worry about it, Tom. Like I know how to do it properly, but I prefer not to because I'm like I don't want to the problem is as soon as you expose that you know a language, I'm sure you guys have experienced as well, all of a sudden they start speaking to you fluently and then I'm sitting there paralyzed.
Yep.
And I don't know what to say and I end up just being like I think it's always the best route is sorry, like, I don't understand.
That happened to me in Serbia so many times. Like when I started to pick up on little things, I'm like, all right, let me try to actually use it. And then I would say something, and then they would just like 3-4 sentences. And I'm just like,
No.
English, please.
Yeah. So do you know French at all or?
No, not really. Like a little bit, just from like high school, like basic stuff, like
Basic.
how are you, hello. But I'm on Duolingo, so I'm trying to teach myself.
Yeah, Duolingo's okay. I tried teaching myself Vietnamese on it, like all of like the last half of last year, and I didn't get very far. I kept on screwing up. It's so complicated.
Yeah.
But good luck, man. Because I think hopefully it lands well. But a lot of people speak English there as well.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
How was Serbia for that? Was it pretty fluid?
Honestly, once you got closer to Belgrade, like the main city, there's a lot of people spoke English. But the town that I was in, it was barely. And I was surprised because even like, and I mean, I had some teammates that were kind of fluent in English too because they either went to the States for school, like for basketball for a little bit, and then they came back to Serbia. But a lot of people don't really kind of learn like English over there, which I was kind of surprised. But I just had to eventually just get used to, their culture and after a few months I was comfortable. Like I could go to a store and or a restaurant and order coffee or order some food and it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, and I mean you adjust quickly.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say though is the coach spoke like barely any English.
So I was just gonna ask about that.
So it's funny because there was like a few times. I remember there was one time we ended up losing the game on this, but it was like crunch time. There was like 3 seconds left, and I think we were down by like 1 or 2. And the coach is, he's like a newer coach. Like when I got there, they said he wasn't very experienced, whatever. So he's in the heat of the moment, and he's trying to drop a play, and he's just speaking straight Serbian, right? And there's about 3. Me and 2 other Americans that are on the getting ready to go out there, and he's just talking in Serbian, and he doesn't realize that like we don't understand, and then he's trying to tell someone to translate it, and he's like while he's doing that he's messing up the play, and it was terrible, and but it was just kind of funny to be a part of that, like obviously it sucked that we lost, but like he's like saying all these things and he's like scribbling on the board, and I'm just like, all right, let's just try to get the ball and score.
We hope we know what it is.
Yeah, that's wild to think about, man. And even when you speak the same language as people, sometimes things get miscommunicated. Actually, quite often they get miscommunicated. So being in a foreign language altogether is a different thing.
Yeah.
But Kai, you were just in Europe. Like do you find that was the same when you were traveling, or because you speak German as well?
Yeah, I think it's only in certain countries. So I've heard Serbia's like this. I was in Bulgaria. It was definitely like that. Like my buddy spoke Bulgarian, so it was a little bit easier.
Right.
But like you got to go to major cities or like hotels that are maybe more like global.
Right.
And then there's people, but I was in places where like I thought it was touristy. Not at all. Like no one spoke English very, very hard. And then Germany, again, they have to learn it in school, so everyone speaks English.
Right.
And actually, funny enough, you can probably get by with German easier in Bulgaria than English, which I was very surprised with. Croatia is pretty good because it's become very touristy now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a few countries in Europe that are like, it's hit and miss. You gotta be very like,
for sure.
you're in the major places or like, the small towns, there's no way.
No.
Like you're,
No.
Yeah, you're just hoping you point at the right thing and they understand. I'll eat that every day. It's all good.
Just point at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's even in England. Have you been there before?
England? Yeah.
There's certain areas that you'll go in where they speak a different, I guess like dialect, or they have a different accent. And
Right.
I know I have friends that have watched TV shows with me that for me I'm just listening to it and they're like, can you turn the subtitles on? I'm like, they're speaking English. I was like, what's going on here? And then there's India, which a lot of people don't know this. It's the world's largest English-speaking population, and it's the world's largest democracy.
Oh, wow.
So I think because the whole American dream is so strong, and a lot of imports. I mean, to be fair, in Alberta, I'm not sure if you know this, we have the two major cities, Edmonton and Calgary. They're both mayors are Sikh from northern India.
Okay.
So kind of doing okay here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's cool to see that from that perspective. And so France. Let's go back to that for a second. Obviously you don't know French, but I think you'll be fine getting by there. And are there other teammates that are going with you?
Yeah, so Simi, he just signed to go to France. He's gonna play in like the first league, so that was the same league that Victor Wembanyama played in. He's gonna do great. You know, he had a great season with us, and I'm really happy to see that he's gonna be out there. Other than that, there's a guy on my team that I signed to that I played against when I was at St. John's. So that's someone I kind of know over there. But other than that, it's kind of, being on my own again. And kind of growing up in a household, I had a half brother, but I was kind of, raised as like an only child a lot. So I'm kind of used to just being, kind of by myself and going through my journey and learning. And I love to explore. So, I'll definitely take trains and try new foods out and do stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it.
So, and just out of curiosity, to dive deeper into that for a moment, how old are you?
I'm 24.
So young. I'm 10 years older than you. Tough break. But that's time. And then how old's your half brother?
38.
38. Okay, so quite a bit older. And where did you? So he was probably pretty much out of the house by the time you came along. Right?
Pretty much.
So you guys shared the same mom or same dad?
Same dad.
Same dad. Okay, so you're the same dad, and you're an only child, but had that support from an older figure in your life. So you got a lot of dads, figures.
Yeah.
That explains why you're so level-headed. Because usually, being an only child is an interesting experience, right? And having siblings is an interesting experience as well too.
Right.
So, with where you are and the success that you've had, and where do you think it came from? Was it mom, dad, brothers? Like where do you feel that your drive comes from, or was it multifaceted?
That's a really good question. I think it was both. Both my parents, like you said, my brother, and then the coaches I had too. Those coaches I had were mentors too. A lot of coaches I had either played professionally or were just really good basketball players. It just didn't work out for them. So a lot of them kind of saw, when they were coaching me, they're like, yo, like I remember when I was in that position. So for me, it was kind of just having that. And, I've always just been competitive. I think, like I said, I was overlooked a lot when I was younger. I was kind of like, when I first started playing basketball too, I was that like small kid that, I had to play up because they didn't have age group for 5-year-olds to play. So I was playing with 10-year-olds, so I was, on the ground getting thrown around, not getting a lot of shots, stuff like that. So I feel like for me, it was kind of just like that competitive spirit kind of just over time was just built.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like my mom always tells me this, but when I got my first soccer trophy, I think I was 3 or 4 years old. And she said that like she never saw me like so happy in her life before. Like that was just, I got a trophy and I was like, man, I just love this feeling of winning, It was just like, I was like, I just want to keep winning. So every time I got a trophy, every time I got a medal, I was like, I'm going to hang it up. I want to get another one. So I think they kind of supported me through that. And, them growing up in Jamaica as well, they didn't have the financial support to, kind of pursue athletics. Yeah. But my mom played netball and tennis, and my dad played cricket. So, I definitely have, competitive genes in me.
Yeah, and cricket's a hell of a... I'd say we're talking about all these different sports. You have soccer, and we've seen cricket live is the craziest sport in the world. There's nothing that beats it. I'm not sure if you've ever seen a game live.
I haven't.
It's frightening. People are trying to kill each other.
Jeez.
But at some point, maybe you got to take a trip to India with your dad.
For
and
sure.
go see one is supposed to be the wildest thing. So
Isn't cricket like I think it's like the second most
popular
sport in the world.
in the
right?
world.
After
Yeah,
soccer?
it's personally because of the way the league is set up. I think cricket is the most like globally diverse
Global
sport
diverse, okay.
with the best representation in countries that you wouldn't expect, like West Indies,
Mm-hmm.
Australia,
Mm-hmm.
and then England, India. Like all of them are top teams. It's not like
Right.
the typical countries that you think are the best. It's literally distributed right across the world.
Right.
And you never know who's going to be coming on top. So it's like, it's really interesting from that standpoint, but that's cool to hear. So, I mean, it sounds like you had like a really good base that allowed you to get to where you were. And you know what I'm starting to notice the theme for this podcast is? Parents are important. Good parents are super important. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, it doesn't really matter like what version they come into. And I think one thing that I heard recently, and it really hit me hard because I have 3 kids, was that it's their first time on this planet too. And I think a lot of people forget that is that we come out of the womb in the hands of these people that want to take care of us, and they try this best and they release us into the world. And we as young individuals, I mean, I'm obviously not young anymore. I'm past the stage. Like I have nothing but the highest respect for my parents, but hey, you're not allowed to giggle, man. You're not that far behind.
It's all good.
Yeah, is that the parents, regardless of whatever ends up happening, are there for you, right? But it is really easy to forget that this is their first time around,
For sure.
around the sun on this rock as well, right? So I know Jared, he's in the crowd today. He's a new dad. I think he's like 8 weeks. No,
2,
5.
right?
2. Oh my God,
It's like 2. Yeah, I'm like
2 weeks.
Fresh, man. 8 weeks.
Okay, he doesn't even know he's a dad yet. So the baby's looking into outer space still. So where am I, right? So yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, and and the reason I ask this, and I bring this point up, is do you want to have kids one day?
For sure. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you have an idea of how many you want?
I think 3 is a good number.
3? I have
think 3
3.
is a good number. Yeah.
It's hectic.
It's hectic.
It's great though.
Yeah.
It's probably the funnest, most rewarding thing I've ever experienced. They're so cute and hilarious, and they can't really do any wrong, right? Like
Yeah.
I think I'm excited for you to have that stage, but I mean you're 24, you got a long time ahead of you. And that's probably my next question for you is that you've had an awesome career so far. You get to travel all over the world. How does it work in your line of work when it comes to professional basketball? Is there an expiry date based on time? Is there a certain line where like, okay, I've tried everything, it's time for me to move on?
Right.
Or what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, it's tough because especially growing up as a kid playing the sport, you know, I'm super passionate about it. You know, I would love to play until I'm, 40, but, realistically, obviously family's very important to me, and eventually there's going to be a time when I want to, start a family and kind of be around them. And, depending on kind of like how, I guess it goes overseas and, if I'm playing well and teams are still, paying me well and, I'm going to keep kind of trying to, ride that bike for as long as I can. But, I don't really know. It's hard to tell, because it's one of those things where there's been guys that I've looked up to and I've played with in Toronto, and they've had 1 or 2 year careers, and then there's other guys that have played for 9, 10, 11, 12 year careers, you know what I mean? So it's really just kind of depend on like what stage of life I'm in, and eventually I want to be a business owner, I want to be an entrepreneur and all that stuff too. So I'm really trying to start that, get that going while I'm playing, so that once I'm done playing, I can kind of fall back on that.
That's smart,
and then when I can settle down and find somewhere to live, then I can just get into that.
Yeah. Well, we started Zeno when we were in school.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
we started.
impressive.
I was 3rd year, he's 4th year,
Yeah.
and S8, which is the Polytechnic here. So yeah, the earlier you start, the more of an edge you have because you can figure out how to sharpen your sword, I suppose, sooner, right? But Kai has, I think, the formula figured out for when the line is for kids, right?
Formula.
So for those listening out there, Kai is technically single.
Come on.
And he
formula.
has an age. Well, it's different for everybody, but you got the formula that works for your life. So where's your line?
35, but
35?
That's not like formula. That's just, again, I think it relates back to, funny enough, it actually relates back to sports and physical fitness. I just don't want to be like an old dad that like can't go play ball or soccer with their kids or like run do that race. I'll actually do it with my kids, you know.
I'll be there waiting in the bushes.
I'll be like that.
You see Gursh running beside
I just
us.
tackle this kid and just go like, I beat them both. I took out 2 generations in one race.
Yeah, so 30 minutes not a formula. It's just like personal preference. I just want to be an old dad, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
we got a few years, but yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, they take a lot, you know, and it's a good call. Like, so I mean, technically, you have 11 years.
Yeah.
If you use his framework, and I think I believe that it's a good idea because I'm 29. I was 29 when I had my daughter.
He's not younger than me.
I'm going back.
Yeah.
Yo, does it count? If I say it out loud, can I actually be younger, please? No.
29, okay.
Yeah, Benjamin Ball. There we go. But I was 29 when I had my daughter. She's turning 6 in September, and it's, you know what, like I just taught her how to ride a bike, and they ride the bikes pretty quick. So I'm running at like 60-70% of my top speed,
Right.
trying to keep up with her now, and at that speed I'm like, man, if she falls, it's gonna be bad.
Right.
So you have to be able to keep up,
Yeah.
and I'm finding nowadays a lot of people are having their kids later. And I'm seeing them interact with their children. They're out of shape, or life has consumed them. We're living in pretty stressful times, whatever it might be. And you can see that their kids are falling physically behind.
Right.
And I see it around because I'm exposed by a lot of kids, and it worries me a lot.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So 35, good age.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Like,
Kid
hopefully. Might
take
change
care
with
of
that. Just it's just my dad was young growing up, and you can just see, right? Like you can see it's fun. It makes it more fun. I feel,
For sure.
the sports side of things. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's exciting. So, you know, the season's coming to an end now, or technically the season is at its end, and now we're in the playoffs. Where's your head at? Where are you going with these? And are you taking it one game at a time? So let's go into that. Where's your head at? And I know you have to take it one game at a time. And why is that? How did they set this up to be that way?
Yeah, so obviously it's winner go home kind of situation. If you lose, you're out. And it's tough because, you know, it's easy to look ahead and think, you know, it's only if we win 3 games, we win the whole thing, you know, type thing. Or is it 3? 1.
Yeah.
3,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
This game that's coming up on Sunday is 104.
Yeah, and then
the next-
semis and then
It's
finals.
106
Yeah.
and the finals, yeah.
Yeah, so it's easy. It's really easy to kind of do that. But like I said, this is a competitive league, man, and any team can lose to any team. So we really just have to be locked in. And I think, you know, for a lot of the guys on the team, we've been in this position before. You know, playoffs is one of those things where obviously it's more intense because the stakes are higher. But you have to just play it like a regular game. You have to approach it like a regular game because if you don't, that's when you start to stress yourself too much and you try to maybe do too much on the court or whatever. So, you know, I'm in a good headspace. You know, I'm going to do my normal, you know, pre-game stuff, you know, meditating, you know, read. Sometimes I'll play chess. I'm a big chess person. So
On the phone or do you have a board
on my
to carry
phone.
around?
I wish I had a board, but on the phone, I just play some chess.
That became my thing for a while.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is. I didn't realize how bad it was. It's like, oh, man.
Yeah.
It's
It's
rocked by the
difficult.
bots. Like, this sucks.
But it's just, you know, regular game approach.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I kind of look at it. I know other people maybe have, you know, their superstitions or whatever it is, but
What's the most interesting superstition you've seen?
it's a good question.
Yeah, one underwear. 'Cause I've had that one before, man.
Yeah.
So I was playing like pretty high level soccer, and this one kid, man, I won't say his name because he had the same underwear that he wore during playoffs, and it was like season 3, man, of doing this, and and we had stuck together because it's like Team Alberta. It's the same group of kids, and you're like, okay, yeah, like maybe it's weird.
I mean,
it was the weirdest thing.
yeah.
I don't know where you got the idea from.
I'm trying to think. There wasn't super weird ones. I mean, I know one of my college teammates, he used to wear his high school shorts underneath his game shorts.
That one actually makes sense.
I think actually Michael Jordan used to do that too when he was at North Carolina. But it was just weird because it looked like he had like 2 shorts on, and he had like baggy shorts too. Like it was weird, but
Hold on, so regular season normal attire, and then when it came to playoffs, he had baggy shorts underneath his normal.
no,
shorts.
he did it the whole season. He did the whole season.
Wow.
He did the whole season. So it looked like he had 2 shorts every time he
Yeah.
played. But he was, I mean,
Yeah.
he's a really good player.
Just to tease him a bit, because I know Ruggs has some pretty crazy swagger.
Mhm.
Those are some short shorts, man.
He's rocking the shortest.
Yeah, I know.
Are
Both,
those custom fit? They have
yeah, I
to.
think
got those
I think-
tailored for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Because both of us. I don't know. Both of us like having the shorter shorts. I feel like we have more.
Yeah, I do too. We
You know,
both do, yeah.
but yeah,
We do like that too. We were actually joking.
We actually asked.
We want them.
They
Yeah.
asked us the size of the shorts. I'm like, I want Ruggsy size.
Yeah.
And then nobody could figure out what it was. So I'm like, just get me a medium. Like,
Yeah, I think it's like a small.
Yeah.
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 The waist, yeah, no, it's just that's hilarious.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's all everybody has a different vibe though.
Yeah.
Like you find that like
For sure.
everybody dresses a little bit different. The shoes is a big thing as well too.
Mhm.
Actually, to be fair, and I know you were in Jordan.
Some dunks. Nike dunks,
Actually,
yeah.
Nike dunks.
Mhm.
Like our shoe game went through the roof after getting involved. Like I think I've accidentally bought way too many pairs.
Yeah.
They're all sitting around. Like, I love shoes to begin with,
Mhm.
but I didn't realize that the shoe game was so unreal
Yeah.
when it came to ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Some guys like Ruggsy. Yeah, he has a lot of shoes, a lot of stuff in his closet that you're just like, okay, like, you know. And then some people like me, like I'm kind of big into like the vintage style, but I'm also just like I've always been just like, you know, I'm comfy, you know, like
Yeah.
I might try to throw on some like nice shoes, but you know, if I'm comfy and you know, I'm ready to go. But
Yeah.
yeah,
These are super comfy.
yeah.
At first they weren't, but I got some pro tips from our Bulgarian friend Nick, and they're great now. I figured out how to break them in properly.
Yeah. What size are you? What size are you guys?
11.
11? 10?
Yeah. Yeah, my shoes are bigger. Yeah, so with everything in mind, you're going into this weekend with, you know, that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You got Paris coming up. It sounds like your life's pretty busy, man. And for us, it's been honestly, it's been an honor watching you play and
Appreciate
watching
that.
all the other players play. And I wish we could have everybody on the podcast, and we'll be spending some time together coming up here at some point. I know Jason's figuring out some of the logistics. It's been cool, man. It's been cool. And I guess the last question I have is, do you think that you're going to end up coming back next year?
It's a great question. You know, I would love to. You know, I would love to. It's a great city, great organization, like I said, great people like you guys. Definitely make that decision a lot easier. It's just, I think for me, it's a matter of how the France season goes,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
because it's grueling season. It might be 10 months if we get to playoffs over there. So,
Whoa.
yeah.
And what level is this? Sorry, just the equivalent?
Yeah, so how it kind of works overseas, there's a lot of like top leagues. So Spain top league is really good. France top league is really good. Germany top league is really good. And I think out of all the countries, when you look at like the second division teams, France probably has the best second division teams because they play in other like domestic cups and stuff like that. You got like, you know, Champions League and FIBA Europe Cups and stuff like that. So honestly, this competition is probably going to be, like when I compare to like CBL, it'd probably be maybe around the same, maybe a little bit higher. Probably around the same. I would say probably going to be around the same. But it's just a different style of play too over there. Like a lot of the players are very skilled, very like fundamentally like sound.
A lot of mind games too.
Yeah. Not as like athletic as like this league is in the CBL, but you know, in a league like France, the players are going to be probably similar, very similar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I actually lied. I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
There's been horrific sounds that we've heard during the games. Like absolutely horrific sounds.
Yeah.
Not the fans cheering or people screaming. When you guys hit the floor,
Oh,
man, you can, because it sounds like somebody getting hit with a 2x4.
yeah.
How does your body sustain that? Because I've seen you get knocked down really badly a few games.
Mm-hmm.
I think you actually hit your head one game as well too, where you got knocked down right at the hoop. Like,
Yeah.
does it not hurt? Because you guys just get right back up.
Yeah, it hurts, but I don't know. I feel like with all the adrenaline in the game, it's like just move on from it. And I'm, especially a guy like me, like I'm used to like taking charges and like, it's funny. My high school coach had this drill where he would line up like all the players on the team, and one guy would just basically stand right underneath the rim and take a charge from every single player from the team. And
That's an
it was
interesting
yeah.
That is a very
I
interesting
know. So I think I don't know if that like, and there were some big guys on my team. You know what I mean? Like 260, 250. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So kinda-
fall over before they even hit you.
Yeah.
Just time it.
Yeah. So especially when you're like in the game and you have the adrenaline, it's not as bad. And you know, you want to win. You know, you look at someone like Allen Iverson, who I looked up to a lot. He was always getting hurt. He was 6 feet, 160 pounds, whatever it was. He was always hurt, but he found a way to play through it.
So call him small. He's the same height as us.
Yeah.
That's
what
yeah. Is it harder on your body than soccer is?
That's a good question. I feel like for me, it is, because when I played soccer, I feel like as a center back, I was dishing out the hurt, if anything. Like my slide tackles and just being like physical.
Yeah.
But I don't miss getting like cleats in the back of the foot, like on the Achilles and stuff like that, like on your toes.
Or the shins.
Yeah. But I feel like overall, I've definitely had like more battle scars from basketball and have been sore from basketball.
Yeah, our assumption was correct. And because Kai and I have been watching obviously very closely, and we see those moments, like, yeah, this is definitely rougher than soccer. Yeah. Soccer has a reputation of being a little bit theatrical. I think it's accurate. Like, it's
100%.
Yeah, it's accurate. Like, basketball's rough and tumbling. You don't see too much faking. Like, there's obviously moments, but it's a rough sport.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until, we got a little bit of a better vantage point.
Right.
So, I mean, this has been an awesome conversation. And I know we could talk for hours. I feel like I'm constantly saying this at the end of every episode. We've had so many amazing guests. Before we jump off, though, is there any message that you want to share? I know you have a podcast as well, too, and you have some aspirations of your own. Is there any message that you want to share with the people listening? Yeah.
So first of all, Connecting Creators Podcast is a podcast that me and my boy Stephen Perry do. Shout out to him. He does a lot of the editing and the background work. But yeah, I think for people listening, and especially for young athletes kind of growing up, just continue to stay in the gym, continue to work hard. Try to find people in your circle that are gonna, tell you the truth. Not always kind of, praise you, but be level-headed. And at the end of the day, sports and basketball and all that stuff isn't, the most important thing. Try to give back to community. Try to have an impact. And yeah, stay in school. Try to get your education. That's one thing that basketball allowed me to do. I was able to get full scholarship. So I kind of had to. My parents didn't really have to worry about financially supporting me for university and stuff like that. So use these sports as a tool to, guide you into different things in life, getting your education, traveling the world, making an impact on the community that you come from. That's kind of the biggest message I have.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You where you're at 24 and me where I was at 24, I'm not sharing those stories. So it's incredible, man. I can't wait to see where you're at when you're 34.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're gonna follow that journey closely, and you definitely inspired us in different ways. So I know we can't necessarily speak to that in the moment in itself, but yeah, thank you for doing what you're doing, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.